Yesterday was Martin Luther King Day. So this is a poem that I wrote that I was commissioned to write back in 2013 for the anniversary of the March on Washington and the I Have a Dream speech, which seemed kind of relevant in light of other events yesterday. The two things you need to know going into this are that in the speech, one of the things that King says is, in a sense, we've came to this nation's capital to cash a check. And the check he's referring to is the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which he describes as a promissory note saying that all men are created equal, and points out that this is a promise that America had not kept at that point in 1963, and indeed has still not kept. And the other thing is that the person I mainly refer to in this poem, the person this poem is addressed to, is a lady called C.C. MacDonald, who was imprisoned for defending herself against a transphobic attack, imprisoned in the men's prison at St. Cloud, Minnesota. She was later released. And one of the pieces of evidence used at her pre-trial hearing was that she had written a check which bounced. So this is letter to a Minnesota prison. Your check bounced, C.C. That was held against you. They said it showed the content of your character. They never said a word about the swastika tattooed on the ankle of the man they say you murdered, or the fact he yelled go back to Africa, though you are as American as he was. They talked about your check, and not the one dated 7/4/76 that King tried to cash in Washington, the one that said all men created equal. In school they say for men read people, but we were read wrong. That's later in the poem. In school they say for men read people, but we know that isn't true. For men read Thomas Jefferson, fathering children on his slaves. For men read Hoover, closeted, obsessed with sin and plague. For men read Donald fucking Trump. For men read James Earl Ray. For men read us in killers' eyes. The eyes of those who beat Crane Conaway to death, who shot Deone Jones, who gagged Rosita Hidalgo, stabbed her body, slit her throat, who shot Coco Williams, who shot Terrell Jackson, who shot Paige Clay in the face, who shot Brandy Martell, who burned Lorena Escalera's house down, choking her with smoke, who shot Tracy Johnson again and again, who stabbed Tiffany Gooden again and again, who shot Deja Jones, who shot Kendall Hampton, who put a gun to Kyra Cordova's head and pulled the trigger. American eyes looked down those barrels. American lives flashed by in the light of those blades. These are only the murders in 2012. These are just the American names. And they are black names and Latino names. The kind of names which whites turn down when they are written on CVs, which we insist will need ID when passing checks, which if they bounce prove criminality. The willingness cold-bloodedly to kill a man. White names can get away with murder. Look at Zimmerman. They say he was threatened. Well, what about you? They say he was frightened. Weren't you frightened too? He carried a gun and you only had scissors. But they read him as white, and he wasn't transitioning, and so occupied a much safer position in the hierarchy they say isn't there. White, straight, and cis beats black, trans, and queer. They said all man created equal. They told us for man read people, but we were read wrong when we came into the world. Black or white name, some nurse, some doctor branded boy on us. To be named is to be destroyed, to be entered in the register of births, to be erased. We spend our lives like Virginia, dragging around our colonial names. The names and the murder reports, the obituaries. That time in the car when I could barely breathe, I gasped to my ex as she drove me to hospital, make sure they use the right words at my funeral. Did you think that, Cece, when you were attacked, when the truth of who we are conflicts with their facts, their records, their papers, their burden of proof falls on us, and we can't testify when we're dead. It's a double bind. Die and your corpse gets misgendered, fight back and be sentenced for having defended yourself. We aren't the ones stand your ground laws intend to protect. They expect us to dutifully beat a retreat from abuse. Blessed, they say, are the meek. But how many times, Cece, did you turn the other cheek? How many times can we just walk away, avoid causing trouble, keep playing it safe, till we finally decide that we just cannot take it? You didn't attack. You talked back, remonstrated, and in taking that act, Cece, you demonstrated what they hate most of all. Calm and reasoned defiance, satyagraha, soul force. They met it with violence, as they did in Birmingham, Selma, and Memphis. It's true you fought back then, you offered resistance, but comfy white cis folks who style themselves pacifists have no clue what the stakes are. The gunshots which kill us are silenced. You fought. Who wouldn't, in fear of their life? And you won. That's why they hate you, Cece. You survived. Thank you for your time.